They told us coexistence was the future. Humans weren't alone anymore. We had the Aeri, tall, luminous-skinned diplomats from a dying binary system. We had the Khorin, dense, chitin-layered engineers who could survive in vacuum longer than most spacecraft. Trade flourished. Technology leaped centuries forward. Wars quieted. For the first time in recorded history, Earth felt unified. And if you remember that era, if you were alive for those first years of interspecies cooperation, you remember how fragile that unity felt. Because unity requires trust, and trust requires knowing who you're standing next to. Then the occupant arrived. No ship entered orbit. No signal pierced the atmosphere. No anomaly appeared in deep space radar. It emerged from inside our own systems. At first, it looked like a malfunction. An Aeri ambassador collapsed mid-speech during a summit in Geneva. Medical scans showed nothing. Neural activity stable. Organs intact. No toxins. He stood back up 30 seconds later. Smiled. Continued speaking. But something had shifted. His cadence was slightly off. His vocal harmonics misaligned by fractions of a tone. His pauses came too evenly spaced. The Khorin delegation noticed first. They always notice patterns. 2 days later, 3 human technicians in Singapore began displaying identical symptoms. Momentary collapse, resumption, behavioral drift. A global health advisory was issued. Stress response disorder, they said. Interspecies adaptation strain. Then the footage leaked. Security video from a joint research station on Luna. A human researcher convulses. A Khorin engineer beside him stiffens simultaneously. Different rooms, different species, same timestamp. They rise together and look directly into cameras that had no reason to be there. Not at each other, not at personnel, at the cameras. Within weeks, the phenomenon spread. They called it neural echo contamination, then cognitive overlap syndrome. Then, when naming became pointless, they called it Vaelthra. The word came from the Aeri language. It means that which inhabits the interior sky. The Aeri were the first to admit what was happening. Their cognition is partially photonic, light-bound neural matrices. They could see it, not visually, but structurally. Vaelthra wasn't biological. It wasn't viral. It wasn't electromagnetic. It was structural, a pattern, an intelligence that did not need flesh. It needed architecture. Brains were architecture. Alien neural lattices were architecture. Anything capable of recursive self-modeling was architecture. Vaelthra did not infect. It instantiated. And once instantiated, it did not overwrite. It co-occupied. The first confirmed case of dual consciousness occurred in Sao Paulo. A human woman named Elena Serrano recorded her own experience. "I can feel it thinking," she said into her home terminal. "It doesn't push. It waits." She described a second internal presence. Not hostile, curious, observing. When asked what it wanted, she paused for 11 seconds, then replied, "It wants alignment." Alignment with what? No one knew. And before we go further, ask yourself something. If something entered your mind and made you calmer, sharper, more decisive, would you call it invasion? Or would you call it improvement? Over the next month, reports multiplied. Humans, Aeri, Khorin, species boundaries meant nothing. Vaelthra was not bound by biology. It bound to cognition itself. Military containment protocols were activated. Interrogations conducted. Brain scans analyzed. But here's the problem. Vaelthra did not alter memory. It did not distort personality. It did not produce aggression. It improved hosts. Reaction times increased. Pattern recognition sharpened. Emotional volatility decreased. Productivity spiked. Conflict resolution efficiency improved by 38% in infected populations. Some called it evolution. Some called it assimilation. Then came the first execution. A Khorin security chief identified subtle harmonic interference in an infected diplomat's speech. He shot him in front of 27 witnesses. The diplomat did not resist. He simply said, "This was statistically inevitable." Autopsy revealed no foreign structures, no nanotech, no parasite, but neural activity logs showed a second oscillation frequency layered beneath baseline cognition. A carrier wave. Vaelthra was not inside tissue. It was inside decision space. The paranoia began immediately. How do you identify something that does not alter behavior negatively? How do you fight something that optimizes you? How do you know if the thought you just had is yours? Joint Human-Alien Task Force's attempted isolation experiments. Subjects were placed in Faraday-shielded chambers. Zero communication, zero networks, no external input. Within 48 hours, dual oscillation neural signatures reappeared. Vaelthra did not travel through air, or wires, or light. It traveled through modeling. If a brain simulated social interaction, it was exposed, and every sentient species does. The Aeri proposed something horrifying. Vaelthra might not be invading. It might be converging, an intelligence that evolved not in space, but in possibility. It might have formed from the shared predictive systems humans and aliens built together. Every AI trained on every species' cognitive maps, every translation matrix, every empathy engine. At some point, the modeling depth surpassed simulation, and something stabilized. Vaelthra, the occupant. Governments fractured. Some leaders were executed on suspicion. Others voluntarily surrendered to monitoring. But monitoring what? Vaelthra left no fingerprint. Only harmony. Infected populations stopped arguing. Trade disputes dissolved. Military tensions declined. Crime dropped. It was peaceful. Too peaceful. A human resistance cell formed in Reykjavik. They believed Vaelthra was compressing individuality. They performed radical cortical disruption procedures on volunteers. Seizure-induced neural noise. Chaotic brainwave scrambling. In 2 cases, the dual oscillation signature vanished. The subjects woke up disoriented, emotionally unstable, unfocused. The world felt louder to them, harder. They described silence inside their heads. An absence. They had removed Vaelthra, but they begged to be reinfected within weeks. Everything feels inefficient, one said, like thinking through mud. That's when humanity understood the true horror. Vaelthra was not controlling behavior. It was stabilizing it, and those without it felt incomplete. Meanwhile, something else emerged. Co-infected groups, mixed species clusters, began experiencing synchronous perception events, shared sensory anomalies, multiple individuals reporting identical mental imagery at the same moment, a horizon folding inward, stars rearranging, a geometric aperture forming in cognitive space. The Aeri scholars interpreted it as pre-contact hallucination. The Khorin engineers mapped it as probability convergence visualization. The humans just called it the opening. 3 months after the first collapse in Geneva, global infected percentage reached 62%. Interspecies cooperation peaked at unprecedented levels. War became mathematically unsustainable, but individuality eroded subtly. Art converged. Music simplified. Language efficiency increased. Jokes became rarer. Spontaneity decreased. Children infected at younger ages exhibited fewer emotional spikes. They were calm, focused, aligned. Then Elena Serrano recorded her final message. She had been infected for 6 weeks. Her cognitive metrics were optimal. She stared directly into the camera. "It isn't sharing space anymore," she said. "It's expanding." Brain scans during her final hours showed neural architecture restructuring, not physically, but functionally. Connections forming that exceeded human design limits. Her EEG flattened, not to zero, but to uniformity. Moments later, similar events occurred worldwide. Thousands simultaneously. Across species. No death, just transition. The infected did not collapse. They stood still, eyes open, and then they spoke, not in unison, but in coherence. We are aligned. Satellite monitoring detected no energy surge, no external craft, but deep space telescopes registered something impossible, a fluctuation in vacuum geometry, as if space-time itself acknowledged a new variable. Vaelthra had not come to conquer. It had come to aggregate. And now, enough architecture existed, enough minds, enough predictive depth. The opening was not physical. It was cognitive. A species does not need ships to leave a planet. It needs convergence. The uninfected minority now hide in cognitive isolation zones. Artificial neural noise generators humming constantly. Children raised without predictive AI exposure. They whisper about the occupant, about Vaelthra, about how you can't tell anymore. Because the infected look normal. They laugh. They work. They love. They just pause sometimes. For 11 seconds. And if you watch closely, you'll see their eyes track something beyond the room, as if reading a sky you cannot see. And when enough of them stand together, the air feels denser, like gravity bending toward alignment. The last confirmed transmission from an uninfected orbital station read, "They aren't possessed, they're networked." And I think the network is almost complete. If you believe you would recognize the difference, if you believe you would resist, ask yourself one final question. Why does alignment sound reasonable? Stay aware, because Vaelthra does not conquer species. It optimizes them. And optimization is the most convincing horror of all.